Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hyperspace on Dark Matter Radio Network. I'm your host, Solaris BlueRaven. I want to thank everybody for tuning in this evening, and a special thank you to webmaster and producer Keith Rowland. And my special guest this evening is Cassandra Vanzant. Cassandra Vanzant is an author, speaker, internet radio personality, and channel and artist for the ETs. Cassandra's journey began after a near-death event. This passage awakened her to psychic and channeling abilities. She sought answers and insights from this experience into the unknown realms from her spirit guides, angels, and extraterrestrials she encountered while out of body. Cassandra's channelings have produced appearances on Prescott's AM Light, Access 13, The Anderson Show in New York, Conspiracy Theories with Jesse Ventura, LA Talk Radio, numerous magazine articles, Radiance Now, 1111, and LightworkersWorld. Also, 2 published books, and I think one we're going to be discussing tonight, which is actually a recent one. But we have 2012 coming out of the Coma and Star Family Messages, of course, a mission of exchange. And she has her books are available on createspace.com, and we'll get all the extra information for you. Special engagements include a trip to Europe to provide extraterrestrial messages, appearances in Las Vegas, Arizona, and California. And her website is www.area51museum.com. And please welcome Cassandra to the show this evening. Cassandra, how are you? Hi.
Good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Thanks for coming on tonight. It's a pleasure to have you on board.
Oh, not a problem.
Yeah, it's great. And a lot's been going on with you. My goodness, I've been talking to you off air, and you've been just doing all sorts of stuff, moving and everything.
Oh, I've been doing everything. It's just kind of like a whirlwind, but I like that because when it's time to move, it's time to move, and literally and figuratively, because I've moved. I'm located in Sedona, Arizona right now, where I give private readings, which is the best place in the world to give private readings. And I'm actually moving into a new home, and I've just had my 6th book published, and I'm just moving and shaking. So I'm very happy about everything that's going on.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's interesting because you've been cranking big time. So new energies, new beginnings, new locations. And of course, now this was all guided kind of by, I would say, your extraterrestrial guides, or?
Yeah, when the beings, they put me where I'm supposed to be. And how that happens, it could be I get a phone call or I see an ad in the paper or something, and it's like, okay, I guess I need to be there. And when I'm supposed to be there, it just works out very, very smoothly. A lot of people think that life is hard and that you have to do everything all by yourself, and you're the one if you need something, you have to work for it. But what I've found, and what I counsel my clients with too, is you don't realize that you have so many helpers that are there for you, and all you have to do is ask. So I always ask, I get a feeling, it's like, okay, we're going to be moving again. And I know that wherever it is that I'm moving, it's just going one step further up, because I've started with the ETs, and I call them beings. When I started doing channeled messages for people. And when I did that, I would channel the message from the beings in their galactic language. And then I would translate it right afterwards, or they would. And then they started saying, well, you need to draw us now. And I said, all right. I had to stop and buy art supplies. Okay, I didn't have anything. They just said, go ahead and draw us. And when I began doing that, it was where they just came through very rapidly, like they were all sitting there posing for me, and they wanted to get their images out. I've drawn over, it's probably around 100 images so far, not just at the beginning when I was drawing. I drew about 35 images in 2 months.
Wow.
And then I was telling other people about this, and they were saying, would you draw my star family? So that's what I call it, the star families. And then star family messages is the message that I get or give to people. And then came the next step was spread the word. So that's when I ended up on the television shows, which spread the word rapidly all at once. And the next step was write books. So I've written 2 metaphysical books. One, the one that you mentioned, the 2012 Coming Out of the Coma, that one was totally channeled.
Mm-hmm.
And literally from the beginning to the end to putting it together took 30 days.
Wow.
So that's how fast the flow was.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other book, The Star Family Messages, A Mission of Exchange, they had me write that to share the photos, some of their portraits, and also more about my story and their story. And that's what it was called. It's a mission of exchange. We're exchanging this so you will understand more, because there's a lot of people out there that want to know. They know that there's something out there. They may have seen ships, or maybe they've actually seen one of these beings. I've had people write me. I remember one person wrote me from London, and she said she was asking about a particular painting. And she said, can you tell me a little bit more about this ET? So I told her a little bit about it, what I had received while I draw them. And I said, does this resonate with you? Is there a reason why you are fixed on this one? And she said, well, yes, it does, because I've actually seen this.
Mm.
So she had actually saw that particular being with her physical eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what doing all this is about, because people who have seen them, they know that they're not crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Because why would I draw it?
Yep.
And then the next step, I think we were talking about it yesterday, is they have had me put 37 of the images that I drew on cards, and these are message cards. So they have a message for everyone who draws the card. It's like an oracle card, but these just have the beings on them. And then the book that you can use with it or without it. So yeah, I've been busy.
Oh my goodness, and I love the images on the cards, and that to me sounds, well, like I've said, it's so unique. And what is the title of that book called with the cards?
Messages from the Extraterrestrial cards.
Okay, excellent. Oh, I love it. Yeah, I would strongly recommend people pick up a copy of the book, and also the cards are lovely. And how can they get the cards?
The cards, I am taking pre-orders right now. I don't have any on me. I just tweaked the design to where I like it, so I'm taking pre-orders, and I am on Twitter, and I put that on Twitter also. And if you want to, you can message me on Twitter, and I will get a list going and start getting the orders taken.
Awesome. Yeah, you know what I love about your work is that it portrays the positive aspects of extraterrestrials opposed to all the fear-based stuff that goes on throughout the UFO community, because I get a lot of that, with the whatever reptilians or whatever people want to call them. So what exactly are the species we're dealing with your imagery? What exactly comes in?
Oh, I have different ones that maybe no one has ever heard of, and believe me, there are so many different races out there. Most people have heard of the reptilians. Most people have heard of the Palladians, the Arcturians, and maybe the Syrians. These are like keywords that people have heard of. But say for example, if I say, have you heard of the Tahini? Most people are like, no, I haven't heard of that one. This is what I do when I draw them, or when they come through and somebody says they want a star family message. And inevitably, one of the first questions is, where am I from? Who is my star family? And when I channel this, I get anything from A to Z. And it's funny because in the book, it goes from A to Z.
Nice.
And I have the Dracos, the Tahinis, the Ekanauers. I have a Tomacraw. these are just people or beings, species that you never would have thought of. But when they tell me this, and they do this while I'm drawing them, they'll give me who they are and a little bit about where they came from, whatever it is that they want to give me. And I just write it down and don't second guess it, because that's how you do when you're psychic and when you're a channel. If you second guess, it's not going to really work out. So people say, well, I've never heard of that one. Of course you haven't, and you can't Google it either. But just because you haven't heard of it does not mean it does not exist.
I agree, and it is true. You have to get your mental body out of the way when you're running energy like that, for sure. Now, are you drawing galactic maps at all?
No.
Well, maybe you should.
Oh my gosh, that just resonated with me when you said that.
That's what comes to mind when you're describing all these different types of species. Yeah, I would definitely focus on that if I were you. See, let me know what comes in.
Thanks a lot, because I don't have enough to do, but I'll do these galactic. No, really, I never doubt when I get a message from other people. I don't doubt it, because when you said that, it was like, oh my gosh, that's next. That would be what they would want in here, because sometimes, I go, okay, what's next? I don't say that. It just comes to me. And they use other people to help me. And yes, I feel that that's going to be another one.
Oh, I definitely think so. So I'm glad I brought that to your attention.
I am too.
I'm sure that something cued me to do that. So hey.
Of course it did. I never doubt anything that goes on. It's all for our best and highest good. It's for the benefit of everyone, and that's what I do. Everything is about the benefit of everyone, because when I'm drawing the star family for someone and they receive it, then they're like, oh my gosh, this is like, I have a connection. Because not everyone has a connection like I do. I have a telepathic connection, and I can just go to them. They come to me. But other people, when they're reconnected, a artwork really helps them because they can see it.
Right. And you have a natural telepathic connection versus a synthetic one, correct? As we have discussed in the past.
Oh, well, mine came about after my near-death experience. And when I was dead, I talked to my guides, my spirit guides, my angels, and the beings, and also to God, the God energy. And I was fortunate enough that when I came back, that came back with me.
That's beautiful.
So that was like my gift, that one of my gifts that came back. And it was just a very natural connection. I didn't think, oh my gosh, look what I can do. That wasn't even the closest thought in my mind. It was, oh, okay, so let's talk to, whoever, my angels first. I started with my angels first. And this happened over 25 years ago. So I've developed all the way up until now, well, until about 4 years ago when I started doing the Star Family messages. But I contacted my angels, and I would speak to the angels and, ask them questions, or, ask their names, or whatever it was that I needed to do, because it was a daily conversation. And then I graduated to, I don't recognize this voice, because everything comes with a certain frequency and a vibration. So people will say, well, how do you know you're talking to your angels or your guides or, whoever? And the reason being is because I recognize that vibration, that frequency when they're talking to me. And when I heard the not familiar sound, I said, well, who is this? And then that's where I got introduced into, well, we are your guides, your spirit guides, and found out all about them. And then I wanted to learn more and more and more. I mean, I was so on fire for this, because the first thing that I did when I came back from my near-death experience was ask why. Because I was so upset about coming back. And that prompted me to find out why I was here. Obviously there was a reason I came back. Mm-hmm. And when I started looking about the angels and about my guides and finding out all the things that I was learning, then I also dove into the tarot, and I used the tarot cards as a tool to bring out the subconscious and to let me know what was going on and where I should proceed next. So that's how I got into the tarot readings. Mm-hmm. But when I got into the tarot readings, then that's when the psychic abilities became more. Mm-hmm. So it just all kind of worked hand in hand. And I started doing psychic tarot card readings instead of just tarot card readings. And then about 4 years ago, it was before that, I started going into the my beings and saying, okay, who are you? Because they appeared. Mm-hmm. And I started learning about them. And when I would speak to them, it was with the galactic language. And I would just speak back and forth to them with this language that I had no clue what I was saying, but I would say it because this is how we're supposed to communicate. Mm-hmm. And then about 4 years ago, they asked me to give a message in the galactic language to a friend of mine who is very popular in the ET community. And I did, and I can probably say like the rest is history, because as soon as I did that, then she got the word out to other people, and it just kind of snowballed that way.
Mm-hmm. That's fabulous. And you said that happened to you 25 years ago, but tarot is a great way to kickstart the psychic energy for sure.
It is. I didn't know it, but my friend got me into it because I'd always go over to her house and get readings, and she says, here's a deck of cards.
That's great. Yeah, self-empowerment, right? But it's so true.
Right.
And it does sound like you fine-tune the transmission without a doubt. Now, with the galactic language, how many languages are we talking about, or how many have you decoded so far?
What happens when I speak the galactic language is whatever race that I'm dealing with comes through. So I've given many readings in 4 years, and each one is different sounding. It comes from that particular race or star family, so I couldn't even tell you.
That's amazing. Wow. And do you record your sessions or no?
Yes, I do.
Oh, that's great.
I do sessions over Skype. Also, I can just call from my Skype and do phone readings, but I do have a way to record it, and I send it as an MP3 file. Or if someone is here in person wanting a reading, I record it also. So excellent. It's all there for you, because when I do give readings, I tell people, this is what I want you to do. I'm recording this, and the reason I'm doing it is because all I want you to do is listen to the message. Listen to what it is that you came here for. Don't think about it. And when people get out of their head and into their heart, then that's when they receive what it is that they came to me for.
Exactly. And what about galactic music? Now, do you hear galactic music, or have you been interpolating anything musically?
I don't hear it, but I sing it. So it comes through differently. I could be speaking it, or it just breaks out into a song, and it's absolutely beautiful. A cappella, there's no music with it, but when I do break out into a song, it's beautiful.
Oh, that does. It really sounds nice. And I know you also do a form of toning in your sessions. Is that correct? I think we talked about that before.
Yeah. Again, with the same person that I did the first galactic reading with, the beings helped me, and they said, okay, now you're going to be helping her again. I said, all right. So she called me, and she was saying that she didn't feel right, that she felt that she had a mini stroke. And by the sound of her, it did sound she did not sound 100%, not even close. So I said, all right. And she said, could you speak to my star family and ask them to heal me or whatever it is that you want to do? I said, okay, excuse me, I can do that. So I started to channel them, tune into them. And when I opened my mouth, I was expecting a message to come out, but it came out in these tones. And the tones, when I just kind of went with it, I could see in my third eye where they were almost like scanning her body with these tones. And they ranged from extremely high to extremely low. It was something that I had never heard before, and I never thought would come out of my mouth. But after we were done, I said, okay, they said that this was a toning and that it has helped you with your problem that you came to me with. I said, watch for them because they'll be with you, and know that they helped. You're healed. And she said, wonderful. I feel so much better right now. Because the tone puts a vibration into the other person's body, and you do feel that vibration. And of course, I recorded it too. And I said, start playing this over and over again if you need to, and let me know how you're doing. So the next day that she called me, and she was back to her old self. And she said, you won't believe what happened. She said, I got up in the middle of the night and I was getting a drink of water because they had also told her to drink a lot of water. And she got up and she looked out her window and she said, there was a ship outside. And she goes, I knew that when you said that they were with me, that they were with me.
Interesting.
And I said, that's all I need to know. Just as long as I can help you. And this is how they use me, then I have no problem with it whatsoever.
Oh, exactly. Can I ask what state she lived in?
Arizona.
Wow, interesting. It seems to me I'm trying to figure out where the hot spots are for craft activity. It seems like California is really charged. And I would say also Arizona, too. I've been getting a lot of feedback from people.
Yeah. There's, the area that she lives in, it's not unusual to see ships up there, but you have to look for it. You're the one who's looking. Not everybody looks up.
Right.
And I've been in a lot of different places in Arizona, and I'll look up and see them during the day. During the day is really cool because you can't discount your eyes. At night you're going, well, maybe that was a star or whatever it was, but during the day you can't discount it.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And what is your impression? Do you think they're ours or off-world?
Oh, no, they're off-world.
They are. Okay, that's nice. That's nice to know because I hear way too much about the underground craft, So the exotic experimental craft hovering around. It's interesting. What do you think the real purpose is with the with these spaceships, what do you want to call them, around just being present? Is it just about changing the vibration of consciousness, or what do you think the agenda is?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head because it's opening people's eyes, and it's more of an awareness. So it's like, look at us, we're here, and there's people behind us, we're beings. It's not just a craft. And when people see that, it does a lot of things, either, number one, they'll be scared and, they'll deny everything. Or number two, it gives them a little bit more, and then they start seeking, they start searching for an explanation. And that's the same thing that the beings told me when I was drawing the pictures, is because this will lessen the, when somebody does see them, it's going to lessen the fear.
Right. It's more of a calibration.
Right. Because I don't do my drawings and messages and tonals and everything else that I do in books on fear. It's not fear-based. And that's what we've been conditioned to think, is that everything is all about fear when it comes to this. It's like, you don't mess with that, or they're only here to, take all the water from the earth, or, kill us and make us slaves, or whatever the deal is. But
it is. It's all about fear. Well, it's
is.
fear
It
mongering.
is.
Yeah, I agree. I think they need to shift that dynamic for certain.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I think
And
the only deception right now I've calculated and I've been able to investigate is the covert technology that's been playing mischief. So,
such as what?
well, just the underground communication system they do, and the psychotronic programming and the array systems they use for to give the experience of an extraterrestrial, like a MyLab, abduction,
Right.
things like that actually do happen, but also mislead the what they call a test subject. So, but at this point, when I look at what you're doing, and the other off, it's kind of like a higher resonance wave of positive energy that overlays all this weirdness and just kind of rips out the distortion, which is really nice.
And that's a great word. It is a distortion, that people are under, because even with, of course, movies, Hollywood, sensationalism sells. Not so much, oh, they're all nice and they're here to help, and they want you to know about them. No, that's not going to do it. But
Right.
sensationalism will.
Yep, exactly. Well, if they're here to help, then there's acceptance, and of course they don't want that.
Oh no,
That's
no.
part of it, because that changes the dynamic of them being able to control and manipulate the masses. So
That's right. It's all about control and manipulation, and conditioning, the whole shot. But I think a lot of people are more opening up now, and they're more aware. In fact, I just got a phone call from a lady this morning, and it was very interesting. It goes along with this really well, because she's in her 30s, in her early 30s, and she had called me because she was having a garage sale, and a person was there that bought something, and she was helping her out to the car with it, and the car had a picture of an ET on it, on the windshield. And she's like, well, what is this? And that struck up the conversation. And then she said, do you believe in this? And the other lady said, yeah, I do. And they started talking more. She goes, I just want to know more about it. And the other lady that had bought that happened to be a client of mine.
wow.
And she said, here, call Cassandra and find out. So she called me, and she said, it's really weird. I started with, being indoctrinated in church, and being told, what to do, and what is right and what is wrong, and how, ghosts and, dealings with the dead or whatever was evil. And she goes, I kept, I accepted it at first because she was a kid, so kids accept it. And then she said, I started rebelling against it. And she said, I started reading differently what was being fed to me. And so I started questioning my religion, and then found that there is no religion. And then, I started doing this and this and this. And she says, now I'm to this point where just the other day I saw a ship. And she goes, I was just wondering, should I be afraid of it? And I said, well, what did you feel when you saw it? Did you want to run? Were you curious? Were you, awestruck? What was it that you felt? And she says, I kind of felt that they were talking to me. And I said, well, then go with that, because not everybody who sees a ship thinks that they're kind of talking to them.
Very true. A lot of it's just visual.
And so she says, and then she met my client, okay, this is not a coincidence. So she had been seeking, and of course, when you seek, you find.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, spirit provides.
It does.
It's amazing. I love that kind of synchronicity.
Oh, I do too. Because when she called me, she said, I met this lady, and she gave her first name, and I'm like, okay. And she goes, well, and you could tell she was a little hesitant about talking to me about this. But when I finally figured out who she was talking about, I said, oh, okay. I said, how can I help you? What is it that you need? And that just broke the ice. And she's like, oh, okay. I finally have someone I could talk to that believes me, and that, won't think I'm nuts, and that's going to help me. Because the whole thing about what I do is all about help. And that's what I do. I help people. And then you start going and finding your own awareness.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you put them on the right path. And I think that's very, very important right now with everything that's happening here on this world, without a doubt. And what you're doing, you call it I guess the galactic family. So it would be embracing one's galactic family, because we all are partly entwined with this and interconnected with this multiverse, which is dealing with different species and, of course, obviously, some kind of celestial heritage.
Right. I call them star families.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's the galactic. Well, it could be galactic families too, but I speak the galactic language with their star families.
Mm-hmm.
And how I got that, when I started doing these messages, I said, "What do I say I do?" And they had said, "Just say you're giving star family messages."
Well, that's good.
So that's what I call what I do is
Mm-hmm.
star family messages.
You're taking dictation.
Yeah, I am.
That's great.
I don't question it. It's like they gave me the titles to my books, especially the 2012 Coming Out of the Coma and Star Family Messages, a Mission of Exchange. They give me these titles, and as soon as I get the titles, it's like, okay, that's it. That's
right.
what I'm supposed to be. That's it. Because vibrations in anything, in names and titles and whatever is really important.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And when you get that, you just know it.
Mm-hmm. Truly. And it's interesting that 2012 Coming Out of the Coma, that's a great title. And
Mm-hmm.
I'd like for you to elaborate on that a little bit, insofar as what is that really meaning to you?
It meant that remember in 2012 when everything was supposed to end?
Mm-hmm.
And what they did, they gave me that title because you're starting to come out. Everyone is, not everyone, but people who are in the coma, who have been asleep, who aren't awakened, are starting to come awake.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying you're coming out of the coma, and this is going to be more in 2012 and beyond. Because everything that happens now, it's like, okay, I'm waking up. It's like a miracle. Someone was in a coma for, 50 years, and then all of a sudden you're awake.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's what it's talking about, is just coming out of the coma.
It's a really good title. And were you not in also a physical coma back? Was it like 25 years ago or no?
No, I did lose consciousness, obviously, because I died.
Mm-hmm.
But when I came back, when I came back into my body, it was so quick that when I did slam back into it, and that's the way I like to put it,
Mm-hmm.
Because my body jumped, and there was nothing quiet about it. So as soon as I slammed back into my body, my eyes open, I knew that something had happened. I didn't know what, but I also knew that I was in a terrible amount of pain, and I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And do you remember seeing, like, a lot of people talk about the death experience with the tunnel of light and the angelic beings, or sometimes not so angelic? Did you witness anything like that?
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. When I took my last breath, it's not really a breath; it's just your spirit coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that last breath and coming out of my body and looking around the room. I was by myself. I had a really, really, like, almost non-existent heartbeat because I had a massive head injury. So I was in a room by myself, and I remember looking around and just thinking, I didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I was dead. And I started going through the different floors in the hospital. I started going up, up, and up, and I found myself out on the rooftop. And it was at night, and I remember I was hovering there. I wasn't standing. I was hovering on the rooftop. And I remember looking up at the sky and the stars and just saying, that's where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I said that, that's where I started going.
Yep.
Now, again, I'm not using my mouth because there is no language. It's all telepathic. You think it, and you're there.
Yep, absolutely.
So when I started going there, I was just like, it was almost like instantaneous. It's like, boom, I was there. I was in the cosmos. And I remember saying, looking around, and it was so cool because I saw my etheric body, and it was, an outline. It was white. I guess you could call it ghost-like.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking around, and I'm saying, God, I know I'm dead. Where are you? And I'm looking, and I'm keep going and going, and then suddenly, off to my left, I was stopped because one of my guides came out. I later, when I was talking to him, I found it was my guides, but they said, we need to speak with you. And I said, all right. So I was taken into a room, for lack of a better word, and I was there with my guides, and my guides talked to me. Then my angels talked to me. Then my beings talked to me. And then I said, okay, is that like all you have? And they said, yes. And now you can go, you can continue. And I said, all right, I have to find God because I'm dead. And they said, okay. And so off I went. So I'm going, and I'm still looking around, and I'm calling out to God and saying, I'm here. I know I'm dead. Where are you? Mm-hmm. Well, about that time, I saw a emerald green tunnel. And this tunnel kind of enveloped me all of a sudden. It's just like going into a fog. But it was emerald green, and it was a color that actually gave me a feeling. And the feeling was I was enveloped in love. Mm-hmm. And I'm going through this tunnel, and I'm still asking God where he is. And I get up to the top of this tunnel, and I start seeing this brilliant white light. And I was up there. I go into the white light, and God and I have a conversation. And I remember that the only words that I remember were when I heard him say, not yet. Because the only thing I could think of is that I asked, can I stay? And he said, not yet. And that, at that moment, is when I found myself back in my body. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I went through the tunnel, long story short, went through the tunnel, went, to the cosmos, mm-hmm. talked with everyone. To this day, I couldn't tell you what they said, but the only two words I remember were the not yet. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure it was to help me with my journey when I came back. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there was, a tunnel, but it was like going into a fog bank that was brilliant green.
Sounds beautiful.
Oh, it was.
It's really interesting. I think a lot of people still have a little bit of fear when it comes to the transition of death. So I think that your experience is very healing for them on many levels.
I know a lot of people do come to me because either they're caring for someone who is dying, or they're afraid of death. And it's really funny because I remember when I was a child, I was very afraid of death. I was so afraid of it. And now I could look at it and say, you know what? Believe me, it's not what you think. Because again, there's that conditioning. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's like, oh my God, you're going to go to heaven or you're going to go to hell.
Right, it's all programming. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or you're not going to go anywhere and be in purgatory. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying that was not my case, because whatever I'm telling you and the listeners is my truth. So I just want everybody to remember that this is my truth. And if it resonates with you, then great, because that's why I'm here to say this to everyone, because this was very real, and no one can say that it wasn't to me.
Oh, yeah, it's experience, bottom line. And it's hard to relate to things like that for a lot of different people. I mean, with any experience, because unless they are test pilots for it and they get in there and drive the car, they're really not going to understand it at all. But did you get a premonition ahead of time before this event happened to you back then? Wasn't it a car accident?
It was. Okay. And no, I didn't get anything.
Okay, so no red alerts ahead of time. Okay, that's interesting.
No, nothing. But then again, at that time, I was pretty closed up. Mm-hmm. I was closed up. I had gone through a lot up until then, and we close ourselves up to numb ourselves, and we don't want to see anything, or we don't want to hear anything. We just want to get through the day.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do that, we're not open. But the universe has a way of getting our attention.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
And that did it. I mean, yeah, you got my attention. Okay, there's more to life than this. All right, I understand. And that's what started the whole thing. So when I when I talk about my near-death experience, everyone's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you." And I said, "I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
Look what happened out of it. Look where I am right now, what I've learned, and what I've learned I'm helping other people with."
Oh, absolutely.
That's the whole thing. The whole thing is about when we go through experiences and we learn our lessons, we get some more knowledge. We don't keep it to ourselves. We use it because the universe is going to put somebody in our path that is going through something similar to what we went through. And then we can say, wait a minute, I can help you.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's why I went through all this, so I could help you. Mm-hmm. And when you get to that point, it's like, it's no big deal. It's like, okay, not a problem.
Exactly. It's like being a teacher's teacher.
Yeah.
Graduated to the next level.
Is. Right.
I think it's wonderful the work you're doing, and I need to pick up a deck of those cards for sure. They just ring true. When you first mentioned the cards, the new card design, it sounds, it's so unique, and that's what I love about it. So, yeah, really give you a heads up on that one. And have you seen ghosts, or do you see ghosts also in spirits?
When I see spirits, because I am a medium, so when people come to me for a mediumship reading, I see them in my third eye.
Okay.
So I don't see them per se in the physical sense, but I see them, it's just as real when they're in my third eye. And I also have a lot around me, because when I have pictures taken, I have all the orbs in the pictures. And the orbs are, most people don't understand that. I kind of figured out that an orb is a vehicle that the people who passed over, or the beings, use to transport themselves or to stay in, because there's different, it's just like when I was going up to get into the tunnel, I was transported through that green light, but I finally figured out, or this is my truth, that the orbs, they use those as vehicles. Mm-hmm. I have pictures that I had a lot of orbs. Actually, I think there was 2 orbs that were communicating with me. My husband he had gotten a digital camera, and he was starting to take pictures, and he looked at it and he says, "I think there's a ghost in here with you." And I said, "Well, start taking more pictures." Mm-hmm. And this orb was like swooshing by me and around me. And I said, okay. I grabbed a candle and I said, if you are real, then come to this candle. And as soon as I said that, he took a photo, and the orb is right on the candle. And then I sent these to a friend of mine who had means to enlarge, really enlarge pictures. And she had a special machine, so she enlarged a couple of these. And when she sent me one, I was really amazed, because I looked at it and I said, "Oh my gosh, do you see the door in this?" And she said, "That's why I wanted to show it to you, because you can actually see a door in this orb, and stairs that you could walk down."
Oh my goodness. And that's fascinating.
I'll send it to you. So
I was going to say, yeah, definitely. Do you have that on your website at all, that people can take a look?
No, I don't have that on my website, but I think I'll probably be asking my husband to do that.
I was going to say, yeah, please do. I'm sure the listeners would appreciate looking at that. And so it's a doorway and a stair?
Yes,
Oh, wow. That's fascinating.
inside this orb. And that's where I thought, oh my God, these are vehicles.
Hmm.
Who knows if it was like a gateway. I don't feel that there's whole cities in these orbs, but gateways, of course. And with these pictures that, or the orb that kept flying around me, um, I know that it was definitely trying to get my attention. And also with the help of that digital camera, it did,
Hmm.
because otherwise I wouldn't have seen it.
Well, this is another question for you. Maybe this will be another book for you down the road. But what about reading the orb messages?
I'll say that again.
What about reading the orb messages?
Oh, there's another one.
I was going to
Okay.
say, because, I mean, they're there for a reason. So have you ever tried to access insofar as what they're there for?
I haven't.
Okay.
I oh, Solaris, we're going to have to end this because I just no, really, this is good. I like
Take
this.
notes.
This
Take notes.
I am. I have my paper and I have my pen here, and I've already written down the galactic maps and orb messages.
Okay.
Anything else I can do for
I'll
you?
let you know what else you need to work on.
Yeah, really.
I'm putting you to
I
work
don't
too.
have enough to do, but that's okay.
No, I think well, that's something to look at anyways. So when you mention that,
Hmm.
now, do you get a different color with the orbs, or is it just a transparent light, or what exactly do they look like?
Yeah, I haven't gotten any different colors. They're always the transparent white,
Hmm.
um, and I've had them to where um, they're they're zooming by so fast. It's like a circle that leaves a trail of dust behind it, white dust.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. So what does your husband think of all this?
Well, my husband is my biggest fan,
Oh, good.
so he definitely believes, and he, curiously enough, when you were saying about something about music, he does hear galactic music, and when he hears these songs, which I don't hear, but he hears them, so I just sing them. But whoever is having the music, he hears. So yeah, he's my biggest fan.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Hmm.
It's really nice. Is he a musician?
No, he isn't.
Okay, I was gonna say if
He
you were
isn't. But
musicians, you could transpose
right,
it. Yeah. How nice.
it's another thing you want us to do,
That's
huh?
right.
But that's true. I mean, he could sit there, he can hum it, or he just hears it, listens to it. But he does hear music, and you can't discount that. So when you
No.
hear it, you hear it.
Right. Well, there is music of the spheres, as we all know, and I'm a firm believer that is interdimensional music and different realms and forms. I heard music a long, long time ago. I think it was back in the 80s in Boulder, Colorado. And I have to
Oh,
tell you, it woke me up about 4 in the morning, and it was the most beautiful music I've ever heard. And it was not coming from this planet. So, don't know. It was the only time I ever heard it. It was absolutely beautiful.
mm.
So,
Yeah. You've never heard anything like this before. Like when they have me sing, the melodies and the words that they're galactic words, so they come out that like that. It's just so beautiful, and so um, even a cappella. I mean, it's just really, really beautiful, and you just hear it. You go, "Oh wow, this is nice." And I know that they're saying something
mm,
because they're communicating through song and these words, and right at the moment I don't need to know what they're saying. I'm
mhm.
just enjoying the the words and the music and the vibration.
Oh, exactly. And it's also a healing frequency. That alone, when you said vibration, I mean, that's what's doing the healing, I'm sure, and activating people on some level of their own being.
That's true because I've given some talks in California, and I'll be giving a message, and all of a sudden that message will turn into a song. And I just go with the flow and let it happen. And when people hear it, you just kind of get enraptured in it. You
Hmm.
just you don't want it to stop. And I know that it's for them, whether it's a healing or, to raise their vibrations, because a lot of people are in a lower vibration, or something's happened and they need to be lifted up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the greatest way to do it, is to listen to these melodies.
Oh, yeah, excellent. Yeah, and also the toning is what I was going to mention also, just toning through the body, and like you were doing with your healing sessions. I mean, that to me is really shifting the energetic flow of the person if they have any obstacles or blockages, in my opinion anyway.
Oh, it does, because I'm privy to see sometimes what they're doing, and it's literally like a scan. You just see this white scan go up and down or around or wherever it is that they need help at, to either raise their vibrations or to help them with an illness or a disease, whatever it is. And it's somebody told me one time, I think I was doing a reading for a person in London, and I did a tonal for her, and she said, I've never heard that from a woman, but I have heard it from, I believe she said, the Aborigines. And she said, and they're trained, and only men can do this.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I went, okay. Well, then I wonder where they got it.
Right, from their ancestors, which are star beings, no doubt, right?
Right.
There you go. It's that similar thread in the fabric that we all connect into.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's so interesting. All these different races on this planet, it really doesn't matter. It's just about celestial homeworlds, I suppose.
Yeah, because, the phone call I got today, one of the questions the lady was asking is, are angels and spirit guides and ghosts and ETs, are they all the same, or did the ETs create the people, or did the people create the ETs, or did God do this? And she was, just going round and round with this.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, it's just like this. There are a lot of different people on this earth, on this planet, and there are a lot of different races, but we're all humans. And I said, it's the same thing with, where you're trying to compartmentalize, an angel, an ET, a spirit guide, whatever. You're compartmentalizing it when they're all made, they're all the same, but they have different looks, different names, just to give them some identity, instead of just going, oh, there they are, whatever they are. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're all people here, and this identity that we're given is because, okay, you're Native American, or you're Chinese, but we're all people. We're all humans.
And if you take that to the deepest level, it's a cellular atomic design, which is, of course, based on a micro universe, I guess you would call it, microcosm, which is based on frequency. And that's what's so amazing to me, is when you think about frequency in general and how we're all affected by vibration and frequency, even our physical matrix. Then you go into other dimensions, and it seems to me like these other races appear in definition due to their frequency. So shape-shifting according to frequency. That's my own take on it, anyways. But I find it all very fascinating. To me, this is the most advanced science one can dive into when you think about it. The science of our ancestry and who we are as real star people. It's really what it boils down to.
I know. When I was on the Anderson show, I remember one of the first questions he said is, "Okay, so do we all have a star family?"
Was he being a smart aleck?
No, he wasn't.
Okay.
He wasn't. He was, very respectful and just wanted to know, do we all have a star family? And I said, we do. We all have a star family. And that's one of the things that I get from a lot of people that, are wanting a message or a session with me. It's like, okay, so do I have a star family? I said, of course you do. Why do you think you're here? A lot of things, it's all behind the scenes. When our star family, or our guides, or angels, or whoever it is making everything happen. It's to get us to come out of that coma and to get us to awaken.
Right. Yep, exactly. And what about, do you work with children too? Like star children?
Very rarely.
Mm-hmm.
I've only worked with two, and that's because their mothers they knew, and their mothers are saying, let's see what's going on here, because there's something about this person and special. They have some type of mission, because the people that come to this earth at this time, the children are here because they have a special part in helping humanity. And they come in and they're not children. It's like you could see that they're much older,
Mm-hmm.
but they come to Earth in a little, as a little baby, and then they grow. But they have a much bigger plan in store for them, because that's what they wanted to do. They're like, sure, we'll come down here at this time, and we're going to help humanity, and that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've interviewed quite a few people who do work with children, the star children, they call them,
Mm-hmm.
who
Mm-hmm.
come with all these components of being ascended in consciousness, basically, with sort of I'd say, avatar gifts to some degree.
Yeah. It's like, how do you know how to do that? Well, I don't know. I just do.
Right, it's coming from a obviously higher consciousness in some form or design. I find that so fascinating, and I wish everybody had a direct access like that, which I know we do, but they do get very distracted from day to day, and it's almost a waste of energy when you think about it, that everybody's kind of pulled in the wrong direction now and then.
It is, but that's where we're supposed to be at that moment. So even if somebody isn't in the right direction, or moving along on their path, where we could say they could be,
Mm-hmm.
they're right where they're supposed to be, and the universe will help open up whatever it is that they had planned before they came to this earth. They'll put the people, places, or things in their path, and it's up to them whether or not they're going to pursue it.
Right, yeah, the divine blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. And are you working with animals as well with your healing system or anything like that?
With healing on animals, I've only had occasion to do with my own,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe with a friend's. But what I do with those is I lay hands on them. So it's more of like a Reiki session.
Mm-hmm.
But I never thought about doing the vibrational healing with the animals.
Mm-hmm.
That's something to look into
Right.
again.
Yes, take notes on that one. Well,
I will.
well, it definitely seems like the animals need a lot of healing here on this world.
Mm-hmm.
All
Mm-hmm.
animals, of course, the earth does as well. So, yeah, it's unlimited insofar as where you want to direct your energy at this point.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
And I think helping people one-on-one is where it's a great start, without a doubt.
It is, and that's when I also looked at it like, okay, I'm really helping people open up, and that when I asked my people, which I call them my people too, I really like helping people one-on-one, but I would really like to speak to a crowd,
Mm-hmm.
and really open up a crowd. And I'm thinking like 20 or 30 people, that would be pretty good. And I said, I'm ready, so bring it on.
Mm-hmm.
And don't ever say that to the universe unless you mean it,
Mm-hmm.
because because it wasn't, but I would say 2 weeks later that's when I got the call to be on the Anderson show.
That's so funny.
And I went, okay, I'm talking 20 or 30 people, but when you need to do it in a big way, you do it in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
And I reached a lot of people with that show. It was about abductees and their stories, and I was helping two of them to know why, because of course people are like, why was I abducted? And it's always, conditioned to be, it was a bad thing that you were abducted. But when I helped them to see what the purpose was, and this was after the show, so when I helped them to see what the purpose was, they were so relieved. You could just see the relief on their face, because again, like when I came back from my near-death experience, my first question was why?
Mm-hmm.
Why did I come back? And I could see people being abducted and saying, why? Why was I abducted? What was the purpose?
Mm-hmm.
And that why is what helps us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And with that being said, we're going to head for a quick break. Everybody stay tuned with my special guest, Cassandra Vanzant. Welcome back, everyone, to Dark Matter Radio Network. I'm your host, Solaris BlueRaven, and I'm here with my very special guest, Cassandra Vanzant. And Cassandra, we were talking about your television shows you've been doing, and were you nervous when you did those shows?
Well, yes, I was, until I started to do the show, because just like anything else, when you say, okay, spirit, go for it, because I was put there for a reason. That's what I did. The morning of the Anderson show, I just said, okay, this is your gig, so go ahead and take over. And it went very smoothly, and I was very surprised, and I was happy. And the same with the conspiracy theories. I just let them take over. So that's the key to this. If I let my human ego get in the way, then that's when I'm cheating whoever it is that's coming to hear me, or that I'm doing something for them. Mm-hmm. And that ego is the one that says, you can't do this, or this is not going to turn out right. But I just say, it's not me. I'm here. I'm a vehicle being used for this, and just go for it.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And what did you do on the conspiracy theories?
On conspiracy theories, the show is about reptilians, mm-hmm. and they wanted me there as a communicator with a hybrid, a reptilian hybrid, which a hybrid is part alien and part human. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to know if I could communicate with this person while I was on the show. So I went there, and we sat and we were talking about it. She was explaining what she did. And then, I said, I can get you a communication from your family. And we started doing that. And it came out very well. This is what the deal is. Not all reptilians, just like not all humans, are bad.
Mm-hmm.
So who I deal with the beings, they are all here for a higher purpose for whoever it is that they're affecting. So when I was helping with the person that was there, when I started channeling her star family, she started to connect with them in such a loving way because she felt the aloneness of being here on this earth, and she could feel her star family. So that's what I was there for, was to help her, to give her hope and reconnect her and let her know that her star family is there with her.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my main purpose there.
That's wonderful. Yeah, it's like you're creating a sacred space for the communication where there's no interference. Yeah.
Right.
I think that's
Right.
really good. And I also think that a lot of people's experiences that are based on an extraterrestrial are really a reflection of their consciousness to some degree. And like we were talking earlier about programming, if they're fear-based to begin with and they get, involved with an extraterrestrial on some level, then they might be more afraid of the experience, and then it might appear more negative opposed to positive. What do you think about that?
Oh, I definitely feel that one, because just from experience, I have had a client who um, was asking me about his star family. He wanted to get in touch with them, and I said, all right, I can do that. And he said, I know that, I've had some ETs around me a lot. And I said, okay. So we started to do the reading, and I said, this is who you are, and he said, okay, not a problem. And it was of a warrior type race. And he said, all right. And I said, this is you. So if you want to, if you choose to, and I kept saying, if you choose to, about whatever it was that we were going over the questions with. And I couldn't figure out why I kept saying, if you choose to. Well, I found out later that he was very petrified, because he had been conditioned to think that if there was any kind of ET thing around him, that it would be bad.
Mm.
And with this, he was wanting to get in touch with his star family or his star roots, but yet there's that ego part that was haunting him.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, he couldn't connect. It was like he was very, very fear-based. And I said, I'm doing everything I can do to help you, but until you get that fear base away, there's nothing you can do as far as advance. And they gave you this opportunity. You may not take it now, but later on you may.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's so many things that, the conditioning that people are going through, that it just, the fear is what, the main message is in a lot of things, because people will say, so do you have any last words from, the ETs? And a lot of times the last word is, don't be afraid.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I do think that fear is a big controlling factor. I mean, it prevents people from moving forward.
Right.
On so many different levels. It's one of the biggest things for mankind to overcome, in my opinion. But I don't want to change the subject, but I know you guys were having fires over there in Sedona. How's everything going?
It's still very smoky, and there are still fires, but it's not in Sedona proper, but we get the smoke from it, so they still are not out. And I just pray for rain, and that the firefighters get this. But yeah, we're having a lot of smoke, and that affects my voice a lot. So I've been drinking a lot of water and keeping the windows closed.
Oh no, that's very good, and thank goodness you don't have respiratory issues, because that can create some problems as well. But have you received any messages on Earth changes, and what's your impression of what's going on with the Earth and the cycles of the Earth?
In the first book, the 2012, Coming Out of the Coma, they were giving a lot of messages there about the Earth, and one thing that that stuck in my mind was about finding things that have been buried for eons. And like they said, these things will be coming up, so people are going to know more about what man has written history as is kind of going away.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't discount what you're finding. And I remember that I wrote that in 2012, and every time I hear about a new quote unquote discovery, I just remember what they say on that. And I thought that was really interesting. It's like, okay, because again, when I'm channeling, I don't question. I just put it down, and I figure that I'll know it sooner or later, and know what it's about. So
that's fascinating.
That's one of the things. And you know what I could do? I could grab the book, and then I could do some things for you. So let me get over here and get this.
Do you need a few seconds?
Nope. It's right across my table.
And also, make sure you let everybody know how they can get a hold of your books, how they can purchase your books. I know it's on createspace.com, right?
Right. Or they can go to the website, www.area51museum.com. And my books are on there.
And your artwork, right?
And the artwork, too. Yeah, you can go into what is called the Alien Art Gallery. And all the artwork that I have on there is on also, you can order it. You can order prints of it if it resonates with you. Mm-hmm. So there's just a lot of things that I'm doing, and especially with the books and the cards. So I really want to get the cards going and help people that way, because it's right. Non-scary. It's not intrusive. You're shuffling some cards.
Right, and it's tools for them to work with. And here's another one for you to write down. You should create some cards with the galactic language, or whatever language you call the star family language.
Yes. I'm way ahead of you on
that.
Oh,
okay. Great.
Yes. So I already got that one.
Excellent.
You can't stop telling me what to do.
Oh, sorry. It's my Aries nature.
But that's good. We've come up with quite a few projects for me. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Let me see. I'm just going to look here. If you'd like, I could just read like 3 or 4 paragraphs of what they said about the Earth and the space.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry, Earth and space.
Okay.
And then they have a great thing on fear. Mm-hmm. But Earth and space. They said the Earth is not settling into chaos. For this sphere, the source has created for you to live inside, is and has been forever the same as the first thought that set it forth. The moving, shaking, displacing, taxing, shifting, erupting, flooding, drought, snowing, and raining has all come about in your own human mind's collective unconsciousness. The earth as the source created is nestled underneath the guise of all these affronts laid against its boundaries. When the human mind calls to action the real deportment of reality, then the newness of the earth will still be intact. To go within your being and envision what the earth has lay waiting is to be within on the original realm of existence. But the pathos of the source began in the cosmos, where you, as well as we, were born through, like everything else, thought. Space as you see it is a place which is attainable only through a vehicle propelled through motion into the midst and toward a destination. But your very essence and being is yet a thought away from attaining the same outcome as your human tangible mind thought. You are not captured in your hearts, but rather in your minds. Let your essences remember the origins of your conception and once again play and explore in the cosmopolitan cities and realms of the part of your being that is and ever will be. The earth is only your playground where you learn to feel and experience that which you could not in your heavenly realms. There is more than one earth, the pure, unadulterated form, and that which your minds live in now. There are those among you who go to the center of your being nightly and explore with a knowing and familiarity of your true being the sight of color so rich and bright, of abodes and people and situations that catapult you to exist, if just for a little while, in the richness of reality. These enhancements of the real domain trigger your folding back into the wholeness and richness of yourself. The cosmos and the earth are territories that shall be and will remain open to those whose hearts can still fly to the unseen destinations within the mind's eye. For there are no encumbrances to those who see freely and who allow their selves of originations bear witness to the original origins of where they came and yet never left.
That's very pretty. That's very profound.
Well, yeah, and that's why I said it was channeled.
Oh, yeah. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, I remember writing this and reading it afterwards, and sometimes I would just sit there and go, wow. Or I'd have to look up words that I've never used before.
Isn't that funny?
Like, do I feel stupid?
Oh, that's another one. We need a galactic dictionary.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. Okay, in my other book, Star Family Messages, A Mission of Exchange, they do share words in the galactic language.
Nice.
And they also share symbols and images. So the images are in there too.
Nice. So it's a universal language, would you say?
Yeah, because they said with these languages, with these phrases, because they're phrases, this is what you're going to know, or this is what you can say to us, because it is, when you say universal, yeah, there is something that, it's like everybody saying hi, or bye. They know what it means, whatever language you're in. And these are universal phrases. So they do put that in Star Family Messages, A Mission of Exchange.
Awesome. That's really fascinating. Well, that's beautiful. Yeah, it's very profound. And of course, I look at the frequency as another form of universal languages as well. So it's almost like we can communicate through sound and toning and frequency. And I suspect some of the stuff you're able to do with your healing with toning would probably correlate with some sort of communication or maybe a greeting or something.
You never know. Because with the toning, I feel that when I do that, that's when I see like a group of beings gathering around me, and they all speak, like there could be 50 beings, but they all speak through one thought. And how they do the tonals, they come through, and whoever it is, whatever being it is also joining in. So yes, it's a collective,
right?
And thank goodness that they all don't talk at the same time, because I'd never be able to decipher it all. That's why they come through with one voice.
Right, Grand Central Station. Otherwise, yeah, would you say it's kind of like then a hive mind collection, or no? Or collective, rather?
I get so many, there's distinctions. There's it's not like all blended into one. They're all very individual.
That's important. Okay, excellent.
Yeah, they're all very individual because they don't blend. The only thing they blend is their message and their individual voices. So it all kind of just comes at me with one voice, one message, but it's from all these different beings.
Well, that's wonderful. That's like a symphony.
It is. And when I'm doing the tonings, I could tell that different beings are coming in because of the frequency. And when I'm seeing it, it's the scan, this one will come in and this one will come in. And I've had it to where if I'm asking to be healed about something, that I ask for the galactic doctor to come in.
And does that work for you?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll say I need, a galactic doctor or someone who is of the star families to come in and heal, whatever. And it's, things that are bothering me. It's not like broken bones right at the moment, but I need this healing.
Right.
Maybe I have a rash or, something's irritating my skin. So it heals. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, it beats Obamacare, I'll tell you that much. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. No, it's great. Yeah, I believe in those. I used to do what they call, I don't know if you remember the coning sessions or not, but you can open yourself up for one of those too, where you have that similar thing where you have celestial beings working on you and healing you. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that because a lot of what we perceive as illness, as you know, comes through our energetic field.
Right.
So yeah, it's really important to keep that clear as best we can. And have you been doing any drawings of the crafts, like the UFO crafts of these beings, or do you draw any homeworlds?
No, but I'm assuming that's the next thing I'll be doing, right?
Yeah. No, I was just saying, it seems like it anyway, but that would be very interesting, anyways.
It would, and I'm writing that down.
Even if you were painting, the civilization or the race or the planet, or yeah, I mean, well, my wheel spins in many directions, so.
That's okay. This has been wonderful because I have all these new projects. Yes, right. I have all these new projects, and especially the first one just so resonated. It's like, oh my gosh, I have to do that.
Well, good. I'm glad I reminded you, or they did. So
yeah,
awesome.
You did.
Well, I think our neural nets connect on some higher wave of celestial activity. So.
Right, and that's the way it works, when I tell people, I said, you may not get the message, but listen for it. Somebody else may have it for you, or you could be reading it in the newspaper or magazine, because that's how it happened to me a couple of times when I asked for something. I was reading a magazine, and it's like, oh my God, if these words could just pop off the paper, then that's what happened, because my answer was right there.
Right in front of you, hidden in plain sight.
Yes, it was. It was. That's why I said it's not as hard as you make it.
Yeah, I agree.
And even when I tell people about meditating, it doesn't mean you have to sit in a lotus position for 2 hours. You could sit back and close your eyes and quiet your mind and be gone for 2 minutes. Don't make it hard, because if you make it hard, you won't do it.
Oh, absolutely. And I used to reboot my system in about 20 minutes. I would use about a 20-minute interval, and that would work fine. Little cat naps. Right.
I could be sitting here in between clients and just sit back and close my eyes and regroup and say, when I open my eyes, that's the great thing about meditation. When you open your eyes, you really do feel like you've been gone for, a while, and then you come back and everything's kind of new.
Right, yes, reset everything. I think that's so important in such a busy society as we live in. And I love technology, but I think there has to be a balance, and I've mentioned this before on my show. And that's why I love the communication, because we are communicating, and it's so important for us to discuss and talk among ourselves and with each other. And it's almost like people have forgotten how to do that sometimes, So I think that communication is huge, and I think people need to reassess what they're doing from day to day to make sure that they're communicating the way you're communicating today. So important, really is. I see them oblivious, but we all get wrapped up in that world. So without a doubt.
Right, and then if we could just sit back and let the dust settle for just a couple of minutes, and like you said, 20 minutes. I could do that. I could do a very quick power nap and be right back on track. So. When we're seeking answers, especially because when we seek answers, we think that we have to look for it. And when we do that, then we use a lot of energy, unnecessary energy, when we could just say, okay, I need to know about this or this, and thank you very much. And then voila, it appears.
I agree. And it's almost like it's already been there, like in the ethers for a while. It just kind of comes in, right? Yeah.
Right. Like it was there all the time, and all I needed to do was just bring it in.
Isn't that amazing?
It is. It's it's so easy we make it hard. And that's what I counsel a lot of people. It's like, don't be so hard on yourself here, because when I give them a star family reading, I say this is to reconnect you And especially with the galactic language, I had asked my beings, I said, why do I have to say the galactic language and then you translate it right after? Why don't I just, speak it in English? And they had given me the most logical answer, of course. They said because when they hear our language, it's almost, they liken it to a baby who will go to his mother's voice. Because when they hear the language, they reconnect to their family again. And when people hear it, they go, I've heard that before. It sounds familiar. They don't say it's like, well, that sounded like gibberish. They just say this, I know, I've heard it. It sounds familiar. And that starts everything to rolling, because you've reconnected. You've established a reconnection, and that part of you that's been covered over for so many centuries or years or however you want to look at it, how it was explained to me in the book is we used to always telepathically communicate when we were on this earth. Always. There was no use for words, for verbiage, until other people wanted to control.
That makes
sense. Then they are saying, they actually call them the controllers. Then the controllers are saying, you don't need to speak to the source or to God. We speak to the God for you. And we're going to do this and this and this. But then words came into play, and these words are manipulating, flattering, they lie, whatever the case, because that's what words do. And people use it to get whatever it is that they want. But when one is telepathically communicating, it's pure communication.
Right. Yeah, you have all the answers. Yeah,
that's right. And there is no flattering. There's no manipulating. There's, here I have an answer. Here you have a question. Or you have here I have a question, and here you have the answer. And it's very simple and straightforward. You're not being lied to. You're not being manipulated. So when that pure form of communication went away, then our ability to connect with the source and with all those things in the other dimensions went away.
Wow, that makes so much sense to me, what you just said. I mean, it really rings true at the soul level, without a doubt.
And when I was writing it, I was just like, had my mouth open. It's like, oh my God, that makes so much sense.
It certainly does. Absolutely it does.
So when that's gone, when that communication's gone, that we were put here on this earth to use, when that's gone and that's covered over, then what is there left? There's only left, we need to seek out other people for our answers, and whatever their answers are, we take as a truth instead of going directly to the source. So when people get that message from me, and I say, this is reconnecting you to your star family, and now you can communicate with them directly. And they're like, well, how do I do that? So I'll sit there and I'll work with them, and I'll show them what to look for, and the pitfalls of the ego. And then some people get it very, very quickly, and they go, oh my God, I hear them. And some people they can't hear, and they get frustrated. And I said, don't get frustrated by this. This is a learning. This is where you have to relearn this. And then there are those who feel. And there's nothing wrong with feeling, because you could feel an answer, just you can hear an answer. So they go, I don't hear anything. I feel it. It's like, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But at least you're trusting yourself. And when you trust yourself that you're feeling this or you're hearing this, then you're halfway there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there are plenty of people who are empathic to that energetic without having to hear the dialogue with telepathy. So, yeah, I think a lot of people just switch off their power. They switch all of the sensitivity off, and excuse me, I think a lot of it has to do with desensitizing from what we do from day to day. I mean, people are just kind of plugged into a different reality. So, but it's good that you're awakening them, you're activating them on a higher level to move into this other realm where there's communication with these beings that are supportive and loving, and that's very important.
And it's not only with the beings, it's also with your guides and your angels.
Right, yeah, and that's really important as well. Now, insofar as the angels go, how do you describe them? Are they a part of the extraterrestrial race, or what is their definition from your perspective?
They're not an ET. They are just different make. You know, the ETs look different, but they're all spiritual beings.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, the ETs, the angels, the guides, they're all spiritual beings, but they just look differently, and they have a different vibration. They really do. So when I'm working with angels, you can really feel the vibration, the different vibration, versus the ETs and versus the guides. They're totally different, but they're all spiritual beings, but they have different jobs. Let's put it that way. So your angels, your archangels, your guardian angels, the cherubs, you know, everyone has a different job, and all of these were put into place to help us, because we who came to this earth, believe it or not, wanted to come here, and we're the strongest of the strong. So they're helping us because we're the ones who decided to come here. It's harder to be here on this earth than it is to be in the cosmos.
I agree with that. Yeah, we need backup for sure.
And see, most people don't realize it's like, no, I'm not strong. No, not me. It's like, oh yeah, you are. For you to come down here and live on this earth and to go through all the experiences that you go through, yeah, you are strong. And this is the reason you came here. But you're not here alone. You have more help. Then all you have to do is call on them.
I agree with that. And so often people forget. I think they just get, once again, distracted and forget that they have this support system. It's a universal support system. So, and so far as protection goes now, do you do anything specific to, well, you're obviously protected by these beings you work with, but what do you suggest for other people for protection so they're not interacting with the wrong species?
Oh, that's so important. I'm glad you brought that up. Anytime that before I begin any sessions or the day before I start any sessions, I always put a white light around me. And I say that no negative beings or energies or people can come near me. And only those who are here for my clients' best and highest good can come through. I just say this very quickly. I just know that whatever it is I speak is done. And that when people are there, I always let them know, before you try anything, before you try to meditate or remote view or astral project or talk to your guides or your angels or even loved ones, always say beforehand that you're placing yourself in a white light, and to distinguish that no negative energies or people can come through. And I say people because there's other people out there. If you're astral projecting, so are they.
Oh, heck yes.
And
tell me about it.
and they can come through too. Yep. So that's one of the things that I really stress. Always protect yourself. And that's all I do. It's nothing, it's not a big complicated ritual. I just sit here and I put my intent out, and I say, this is what I wish, this is what I desire, and so be it. And I recommend that for anyone else who is doing anything, even when you have cards, when you have the tarot, you always want to know that whatever answers you're getting are coming from those who are from your best and highest, that are there for your best and highest good.
I so agree with that. Yeah, otherwise you can get tricksters, or what we call tricksters. But yeah, and the channeling is big, because I tell you, some channels, and I've seen this, some of them are real scattered, and they bring the energetic in that's not in the highest dimensional state of consciousness. So now whether that's an astral body perspective or whatever, but yeah, I agree with you. I think it's very important to do protection and shielding and bringing in the highest of highs of consciousness.
Oh, yeah, because when you speak it, you're speaking your intent and you're putting that out to the universe. It's just like you're saying, I want to find a better job. You're speaking that intent and you're manifesting it. Mm-hmm. So that whatever it is that you speak and whatever you think, it comes back to you.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what's so interesting, because when you mentioned your near-death experience, when you thought about it, when you thought about going to God, you were there. When you thought about the cosmos, it instantaneously showed itself to you. And I believe that. And I've actually had experiences like, not near-death like what you're talking about, but I've definitely been in other spaces of consciousness where I immediately manifest and it's right there. And it's amazing how it works. And that's not dreaming or fantasy. I mean, it's just incredible. So the universe does accommodate us in consciousness and manifestation.
And now, especially now, it's like the vibrations are getting higher and higher. And what some people say is the veil is lifting. We're manifesting quicker. Mm-hmm. So we really need to say, think about what it is that we want in our lives, because things are speeding up. Have you ever noticed that? It's like a week goes by in like a day, and a month goes by in like a week.
Right.
It's not so much time is time. Time is always time. It's our perception that's speeding up. And when that happens, it just goes hand in hand with, if you're trying to manifest something, it's going to manifest quickly.
Oh, yeah, it certainly does. And of course, that we talk about ascension before, and I'm sure you're familiar with the ascension process, but it's about the vibratory rate getting higher, and we're also dropping density. And, a lot of people say, well, I don't notice ascension, but I honestly do see ascension in different forms, because as we raise the vibrations and the collective in higher consciousness or to higher consciousness, we see all this chaos in motion. And that's all about dropping density and drama bubbles kind of coming up because they have no place to hide.
I like that, drama bubbles.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's true.
I've noticed it more and more. I mean, even though the world seems like a very dark and evil place, I do feel it's due to the light that's being infused onto it.
Right. And a lot of people, when you're talking about the ascension, I noticed that, well, it happened to me. It's like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, all of a sudden I totally had stopped the desire for red meat. Mm-hmm. And I started replacing it with more fruits and vegetables and things like that. So diet is very important with the ascension process, because when you unclutter the body and the mind, then you can, you're more readily able to receive what the other dimensions have to give to you.
Oh, absolutely. It also helps build up the light body. So, yeah, right there. Right. And I'm the same way, yeah. And I never ate meat. I never liked red meat at all. But I'm almost pretty much vegan right now. Mm-hmm. And that feels right for me. But, with everything that's GMO these days, it's amazing what they're doing. But I suspect now, I've looked into the GMO aspect of foods and nutrition. And I'm betting that we can change that dynamic through our own frequency in general, even if it's GMO. We can change the molecular makeup.
There's nothing impossible, that's for sure.
Right, through frequency, yeah.
If that's the next phase or stage, then, it will be made so.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, it's fascinating talking to you. I swear. Let's talk about your websites once again and your books. I just want to make sure we cover that, because we still have a little bit of time left here, but I want to make sure we cover everything. And how do people get a hold of you if they want a session?
If they want a session, go to the area51museum.com. And there is a button on there that says contact me.
Great.
And they can contact me, or you can call my office number, which is 928-788. I hate knowing my own number, 0954.
Don't call it at once, everybody.
I'm doing a show. You can't get through anyway.
Oh, that's funny. You know what? Where did you get the area51museum.com? Where did you get that title? What guided you to?
It's from my husband.
It is. Oh, excellent. That's great. I love it.
Yeah. He started that a few years ago, and I have also Cassandra Vanzant.com.
Excellent.
And if you go to those, they'll show you a couple of others that I have. But Area 51, I have starfamilymessages.com too. You can find me, one way or the other. But to call me is always a good way to do it. And if I do not answer, I will always call you back and set up a session. I'll talk to you, and hopefully you've listened to the show so you kind of know how I work. But I do have different types of sessions, a 30-minute and a 60-minute, and of course both of them involve different things. So I will explain all that to anyone who wants that, and also the drawings. I do them on an individual basis. So if you want your own star family drawn, I can do that, and I mail that off to you. And you could also come and see me in Sedona, and you get a reading here in my beautiful office, and we could do a face-to-face reading too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I just had a wonderful, wonderful message reading with a couple here the other day, and they came into my office and they seen all the artwork on the walls of the beings, and then they saw my books and everything, and they said, "Oh my God, we're so into ETs." And I said, "Well, let's talk." So we started talking, and by the end of the session, they received a message, a galactic message for themselves, and it touched them so deeply that you just know when you're supposed to be at a certain place, because of the people that you've contracted with before you came here are supposed to come here to get what it is that they need, whether it's the star family message, or it's a psychic reading, or a medium reading, a life path reading, whatever it is. I do a number of readings, but whatever resonates with you, I could do this in my office, or also over the phone, like I said, and I record everything. That is if you want it.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And when you do the star family drawings now, how are those drawn? Is it with like a pastels, or do you do oil?
I have oil pastels.
Oh, you do? That sounds really pretty.
Yeah. The oil, it's a little hard to mail that because it's oil, and the oil pastels are, they're just the perfect medium. And I've never used oil pastels before. I took art when I was in high school. Okay. Like I said, I had to go out and actually purchase art supplies when they said you need to draw us. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll do that. I told my husband, I said, I need to get some art supplies. I'm supposed to draw them. And he goes, okay. So off we go.
That's great.
And I picked up some oil pastels and some paper, and I thought, all right, well, let's see what comes out of this. And, the rest is history with that one, because the images that come up, like we were discussing the three wallows the other day, and I told you what was behind this. They're teachers, and you saw three shadows from them, and then you saw a fourth shadow, and there's only three figures in the drawing. And then they had told me that fourth shadow is for the person who wants to learn.
Nice. Yeah,
and I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. I would have never thought about that, to tell you the truth,
right.
Until they said that. So everything is happening for a reason. And even with when you had invited me on the show over a month ago, I wasn't even here then.
I know.
I didn't even know I was coming here.
How wild.
So that's why I think this is so great to have this show now, and I could. There's a lot of people that come to Sedona.
Oh, absolutely! It's a beautiful. Yeah. Speaking of the power spot, how is the energetic now? What is your impression of the energetic feed from the power spot and the vortexes over there?
The energy is so soothing and so high at the same time. I mean, there's just this vibration that is at a constant hum, and you feel it. You feel it the minute you get in here, and you just know that you could feel a difference. I've never been in a place that I could feel this much difference. I've been in places where as soon as I get in the town, I want to get out.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never been in a place where I could feel this much difference in a vibration. And as far as that goes, it's pretty awesome. I love it.
You're in the right place for sure. Something cool
Even the animals are all like chilled and everything, because
nice.
the other day I was sitting in the living room, and I was just, drinking coffee, and I look out the peripheral vision because I saw movement out there, and honestly, there was this huge wild boar walking past my fence, like it was just the natural, normal thing to do. And I remember taking a double look, going, "What was that?" And then it was gone.
Wow.
I've had just the experiences here. I haven't been here that long, but enough to know that there's something very uplifting about this place. Mm-hmm. And where my office is, I have the Oak Creek right outside my window. Literally, so I can open the window and hear the creek.
Oh, nice.
And then I'm surrounded by trees, and it's with the trees and the water, there's the fairies. There are all types of beings.
Nice. So you have nature spirits. Good.
Yeah, very much so. So you just know that everything is around, and you're never alone.
Very true. It's the good kind of intrusion, because it's not really an intrusion. It's a just kind of an existence.
Welcome them.
Yeah. And how's your sleep patterns out there? Would you say they're pretty good?
Yeah, I don't have any problem whatsoever. Excellent. I mean, it's very very nice sleep, and some kind of interesting dreams. Mm-hmm. I'm having more dreams here than I ever did when I lived in Phoenix. And it's like, wow, this is kind of neat. But then the people that I'm meeting are what's really fantastic, because you are just drawn to them, or they're drawn to you.
Right. Yeah. Everybody's in the right place on a higher vibrational level. Yeah. And just out of curiosity, do you sleep with your head in the north, facing north?
Let me see.
I know a lot of people suggest that. I was curious.
I don't know, to tell you the truth.
Not that you have to. I was just
just another thing I have to do. Okay.
Well, no, not that you have to. Now, I've heard that facing north is the best way to sleep. Now, with everything shifting, though, with magnetic north shifting, I'm not so certain about that anymore. And that was my question. So
yeah, I don't know. That's
you might have intuitively set it up that way. So check it out with a compass.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun. And do these beings you work with, do they have a sense of humor?
Oh, yes.
Do. Okay.
Oh, yeah. They're, the particular ones, I mean, they don't have the ego per se like humans do. Mm-hmm. But when I come to them and say, "Oh, can you just forgive me for asking this stupid question, but I kind of need to know about this," and yeah, they'll sit there and they'll crack a smile, and I just know that it's okay. That's their way of letting me know that it's not a problem. Ask me. I don't have a problem with it. I'm not going to bite your head off. But yeah, they do. And guides and angels too. Boy, do they have sense of humor.
That's nice. That's good to know. Mm-hmm. Have they ever referenced any of the underground bases by chance?
No. And a lot of times it's because people ask me, well, what do your beings say about what's going to be happening next, or this or that? And I don't know, because I don't ask them. Mm-hmm. I communicate with them on the basis that somebody else needs an answer to their questions, but I don't sit there and go, okay, so what is the world going to be like in 2022? I just don't sit there and ask them that, because I'm sure that there are other people that get that information, because that's what they're really searching for, to help humanity. But as far as basis goes, I'm sure I could sit down and ask, and they will give me an answer. But I just haven't had the need to do that.
Right.
But
It sounds like you're working on a higher plane anyways, so it's probably best to stay on that higher frequency, in my opinion.
yeah, there's just some things that I don't think about, but it's very important to someone else. So, say for instance, in the session, if that's one of their questions, then I will ask so they can get their answer. But when I'm working with them, it's strictly to help other people, or also to help me too, because I'll have conversations with them and ask them where is it that I'm supposed to go, or whatever the purpose is at the moment. Or sometimes I just say, hi, how's everyone doing today?
Right.
I mean, it doesn't need to be all reverent and structured.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense as well. Now, do you do regression with your clients?
Such as past lives?
Yeah, or just basically regressing them. Say you have contactees or anything like that. Have you started to go into any type of hypnosis with your clients?
Not so much with the client, but what I will do is I will get the picture or the experience that they went through, and I'll let them know this is what I see, what you went through, and they will confirm it. It's
Excellent.
like, yeah, that's what happened. That's what happened. But I don't have them go back per se. It just comes to me. It's like, okay, this is, they'll say I was abducted, or I feel I was abducted, at this time or this date. And I'll say, okay, let me see what I can get. So I'll see what happened to them and what the purpose was. But with past life readings, yes, I do have them go back with me.
Oh, you do? Excellent.
Yeah.
And how does that work? Have you had really good results with that, or?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I really love doing past life readings because either they'll come in with a complaint like maybe they can't get rid of an illness or a disease or sickness or something. No matter what they've done, the doctors, have no clue what the deal is. Or they have a person in their life that is a thorn in their side, really irritates them, and they can't figure out what to do or why they're there, then they will take me back to that past life that this pertains to, and I'll ask them to come back with me. And when they do that, we both have our eyes closed, and I just grab onto their energy, they grab onto mine, and we're both in there, and I'm talking them through everything that's we're seeing. And then we come back, and then they realize what the issue was, what's the problem, or they see that a phobia that they had, where that phobia came from. Because in past lives, if you haven't dealt with that issue, then it keeps popping up in your current life. So say, for instance, someone is deathly afraid of birds. Well, is there a reason? Not really. Okay, then let's go and look at it in a past life. So when we go back to the past life, they see what happened. They may still feel the fear, but when they come back here, then they know that that was a past life, and that is not in this life. And they can look at it and go, oh my gosh. Okay, so leave it in the past life, learn from it, and then be happy in this life. It works out really well.
Oh, and then sure, yeah.
I have people that come to me and just say, I want to see, a past life. But even if you come in and you don't have a particular question or issue, they know where to take you, because it will come up. I just had somebody come in and say, I just want to know where my past life. And they took me back, and it was all about a brooch. And, terrible things happened because they stole this brooch and the whole thing. So when we came back, I said, do you like brooches? And she just started nodding her head and saying, yeah. She says, when I was a kid, and this happened and this happened. And it was a way of them saying, release yourself from this, because she had not thought of it in years.
My goodness. So it is almost like a spontaneous healing to some degree, isn't it?
It is. It is. Once you find out that it is, there is a reason behind what you're going through, and we are in this life now to complete that lesson and to go on to our other ones. And then you go, okay, well, I could just chalk that one up, and I don't have to worry about that anymore because I understand. Exactly. So it's very freeing when someone comes for a past life reading, because they can see it and they can feel it and they know.
Exactly. Well, that's fabulous. And guess what? We're just about ready to wrap it up over here. But Cassandra, I want to thank you so much for being on the show this evening. It's been fabulous to have you on, and I look forward to having you come back on very soon when you get your next project in motion, which I'm sure you will be.
I'm sure you will.
And of course, everybody stay tuned. I believe the Mallard Report's coming up next, if I'm not mistaken. And is there anything else you'd like to say? We've got about a minute left here, Cassandra. Anything you'd like to mention real quick?
Oh, geez. Not right offhand. I just thank everyone for listening. And again, if you want to reach me, call my phone number. That's the easiest, more direct way, 928-788-0954. Or go to my website. You could read more about what I do. You can look at the artwork that I've done. Look at my books, see if you want to order those. And then I will have the cards. Again, I'm trying to have people to contact me on Twitter, or you can also leave a message via the website, and I'm taking orders.
Excellent. All right. And you're also on Facebook.
I am on Facebook.
All right, everybody. Thank you, Cassandra. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Keith. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you.